Hi everyone, welcome to Holistic Happy Hour on Wellness Wednesday. This is week 2. Today I want to talk about our thoughts and brain patterning. So, lots of information. So, let's see. First I want to start by thanking you for joining me. And we will be discussing every Wednesday, we're going to be discussing some things from the book, which is, let me break it down for you. And today's topic, as I said, is thoughts and brain patterning. This is probably one of my favorite facts that I came across in my research, because our thoughts are like the only thing that hey, what's up, Jonathan? Let me wave to you guys. What's up, Michael? So today we're talking about thoughts and brain patterning and thoughts having frequencies. So every single thought that goes through our mind has a frequency. And as you know, thoughts have feelings attached to them, right? That's how we get our feelings. We get our feelings through our thoughts. What's up, Daniel? Whoops. So, I'm not too great at this Facebook Live thing. Me and technology aren't friends, right? I don't like technology because of the bad juju coming off of it. But anyway, so today we're talking about thoughts and brain patterning and how every single thought has a frequency. Okay, so I want to read you a couple little tidbits of information from my book. Let me break it down for you. And I know these are probably things that we know just if we use our common sense. We're like, well, yeah, duh. But if we're not conscious of it on a regular basis of what our thoughts are actually doing to us, then there can be really bad complications later. Things like sickness, disease. Thoughts are our biggest enemy. So if we understand how much of an effect they have on our body, then I think we're probably going to start, filtering them out better. So what I would like to start with is a little excerpt from a book. Every time we have a thought, it sends an electrical energy through our body. So even just thinking about a fearful situation sends negative pulses through our whole entire system. Just like thinking of a pleasant situation will send positive vibrations throughout the body. However, our brain cannot determine where this information is coming from, so it doesn't know fact from fantasy. So if you're watching something on television or like a horror movie and you're very fearful, then our brain has no idea that, oh, it's just a movie, right? So any type of distress or stress that we put our body through thoughts is going to have a reaction inside of our body. So I want to talk about brain patterning too. I'll get to that in a second. But I do want to talk about having control of the vibrations that go through our body through our thoughts. Every vibration goes to our cell, okay? So when a cell gets a vibration, it's going to feel something from it, okay? And our cells regenerate every day. So we have to be really mindful of what type of daily energies we're putting through our body while our cells are regenerating. And thoughts, as I'll keep mentioning, are the number one thing that we have full control over. Those are the frequencies and vibrations that we have full control over, is our thoughts. So I want to read a little excerpt from my research, and it's called How Thoughts Program Your Cells. It was Jordan LeHuan wrote this. And here we go. There are thousands upon thousands of receptors on each cell in our body. Each receptor is specific to one peptide or protein. When we have feelings of anger, sadness, guilt, excitement, happiness, or nervousness, each separate emotion releases its own flurry of neuropeptides. These peptides surge through the body and connect with those receptors, which change the structure of each cell as a whole. Think about that. The thoughts that we have create a frequency that gets sent through our body, that our cells receive a message and can literally change the structure of each cell. What? Okay, so are we getting this here? Our thoughts are creating the health of our cells. This is all science here. This isn't spirituality. This isn't, this is science. This is what happens when we have thoughts. Where this gets interesting is when the cells actively divide. If the cell has been exposed to a certain peptide more than others, the new cell that is produced through its division will have more of the receptor that matches with that specific peptide. Likewise, the cell will also have less receptors for peptides that its mother or sister cell was not exposed to as often. So, let me break this down for you. If our peptides are receiving mostly negative vibrations from our thoughts and our feelings, then cells will generate off of those negative vibrations. So, if a cell is born from mostly low vibrations and negativity, then that's what it's going to crave. You want a flurry of peptides? All right, Michael, we'll see what I can do. That's what's going to happen. So we literally can become addicted to depression. Literally. Our cells will generate off of a low vibration frequency, in which case that is its home, right? That's its comfort, because it doesn't know the positive vibration. It doesn't know about the happy cells. Why? Because we're bombarding it with negative frequencies. So when our cells multiply off of that frequency, they actually crave that frequency. So our cells will communicate to us, hey, where's that vibration? Where's that vibration? Where's that sadness that I was made from? Where's that sadness? And then ping, guess what happens? We go back into that low vibration because our body is literally craving it. So think about how crazy that sounds. That our thoughts literally create the energy that our cells will want. So if you're like a worrier, here's one of my favorite quotes. Worrying is wishing for what you don't want to happen, right? I'm sure any of you that have heard law of attraction and power of manifestation, the universe doesn't hear what you don't want. It just hears what you're focusing on. So if you say, I'm tired of being in debt, I'm tired of not being able to pay my bills, right? Those are all negative thoughts. So our body's going to be used to that. Our body's going to be used to that pessimism. And that's why we're going to just walk around feeling shitty, because we don't have positive, happy, high vibrations going through our body. So another way to rephrase that is to turn around and think of abundance, right? Because the universe attracts what you put out, right? More input, output is input. So if we're positive and we're like, wow, I have so much abundance, life's great, I have, random streams of income coming in, you would be surprised. Even if you have a 9-to-5 and you have a steady paycheck, you would be surprised, okay? You could probably get a random promotion or raise out of nowhere. Why? Because you're attracting that. You're attracting that possibility. But if you're sitting here thinking God, I'm stuck, there's nothing I can do, I'm never going to get anywhere, well, then that becomes your reality. Okay, that becomes your reality. So what I want to really stress about today is refocusing our thoughts on positive outcomes, right? I know it's really, really, really hard to do when we're feeling like shit, and it's okay to do that. We have to have balance, because in order to appreciate when we're feeling really good, we have to know what it feels like to feel really crappy. But what I'm encouraging you to do is to not stay in that low vibration for very long, because the longer you stay in that low vibration, the more cells are going to be created off of that low vibration. And then guess what? It's begging for that low vibration. Give me more sadness, give me more negativity, give me more, because that's what it's constructed from. So, the recap for today is positive thoughts, positive frequencies. Negative thoughts, low frequencies. So which ones do you want your cells to be generating from? High vibrations or low vibrations? These are all your choices. These are your choices. Brain patterning. That's the other thing I wanted to talk about. This stuff is so awesome. Okay, so brain patterning. So I'm sure you've heard, and here's an awesome little picture from my illustrator. Okay, it's got like Distraction Land, it's got Worryville, Inadequacy Town, right? These are all things that we pattern in our brain. Like, I'm not good enough, I'm not enough, I'm not talented enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not skilled enough, I'm not motivated enough, I'm not, all these things that we convince ourselves are true become a pattern in our brain that we map. But here's the most fascinating part of this. I'm sure you've heard before that we develop our personality within the first 5 years, right? So the reason that this is so is, again, science. When we're, let's see, page 23, here we go. When it says right here, this is all research. Again, this is all research. This is all cited in my book as scientific research. It says the first 5 years of a child's life are fundamentally important. They have a direct impact on how children develop learning skills as well as social and emotional abilities. By the age of 3, we have about 90% of our brain. By the age of 5 is fully grown. Okay? So from 0 to 5, we develop these patterns, right? These responses that we experience when we're little. So think about how crazy this sounds. A map is set in our brain after repeated behavior and reactions from experiences that we don't even remember. So if something's happening in your household when you're like 2, let's say your parents are fighting all the time, parents think like, oh, they don't know what we're saying, or, you're like 1.5, 6 months old, they don't know what we're saying, they're not going to understand it. Yeah, but a vibe is a vibe, right? That child knows that something doesn't feel right because arguing, yelling, screaming, that's negative energy. That energy gets passed on to that child. So the child can't determine the difference between good and bad. It's just the reality, right? That's their existence. It's what they know. Because you don't know what you don't know. So if a child's experience is continuously going in like protection mode, right? Like something doesn't feel right, I want to protect myself. Imagine what that actually does to us as adults. So we're going to respond to things as adults the same exact way we responded to that thing as a child, unless we consciously repattern our brain. So let me say that again. Things that happen to us that we don't even remember, age 2, 3, all the way up to 5, will program our brain on how to respond to something, so that when we're older, we intuitively respond because it's a pattern set in our brain from when we were a child. That's how we're going to respond to adult situations, was by those patterns that were put in our brain before the age of 5. Like stuff that you can't even comprehend. You can't comprehend like good from bad. You just comprehend like this is life, right? My life has this kind of energy surrounding it. And so this happens with repeated behavior and thoughts. This also happens to us as adults, right? When you get in relationships and you think you're insecure about something, or maybe you end up in an emotionally or physically abusive relationship. Same thing. That's going to pattern your worth. That's going to set you up for your next relationship of attracting that of what you're used to, which is associating relationships with feeling bad, right? If that's your association, that is the pattern that you set in your brain. And unless you repattern it, nothing's going to change. You're not going to start attracting different things. You have to literally, physiologically change the chemical makeup inside your brain. That takes a lot of effort. And I'm going to talk more about it. It's all in this book. It's all in my book. Let me break it down to you. Let me break it down for you on how to change our brain patterning. So if you want to learn how to change your brain patterning, that's one of the things we can talk about. I do offer a free complimentary 30-minute consult. The link should be at the top of this video. But if you want to talk about some energies, last week I talked about like EMFs and Wi-Fi and stuff like that. Those are energies that we really don't have that much control over. I mean, yeah, we can protect ourselves from them, but we don't have that much control over them. But this week I wanted to focus on thoughts, because those are the ones that we do have 100% control of, okay? Feelings come from thoughts. So the way you think is going to produce the way you feel. And the way that you feel, guess what? Your cells feel the same thing, okay? They don't have brains, they just have these little receptors like, negative, negative, or positive, positive. And they're going to keep screaming out for those frequencies. So, brain patterning and thoughts. So the takeaway for today is thoughts are things. They're real things, and they have frequencies, and those frequencies go through your body, and whatever frequencies go through your body is what your cells regenerate from, okay? So like I mentioned earlier, if you didn't catch all this, you can become addicted to depression because your body craves that low frequency. So thoughts are things. Our brain patterning is created from 0 to 5, and that's not conscious. That's totally environmental and unconscious. It just happens, right? So if you want to learn how to repattern your brain and to start changing things that you're attracting, then give me a call and I'm happy to work through this with you. So again, thank you so much for joining me for Wellness Wednesday during our Holistic Happy Hour. I'm here every Wednesday, at least for the month of April, at 3 p.m. on Facebook Live. I have a Facebook page. Let me break it down for you. You can also join that to find out all the cool stuff. If you live in San Diego, I have a free Q&A at Eve and Encinitas next Tuesday, April 16th at 7:30 p.m. You can come and you can ask me more questions. You can also comment here if there's anything that you want me to talk about next week. Next week, my intention is to talk about foods and the frequencies of foods. So if you want to learn about the frequencies of foods and what we're allowing into our body with what we consume, that will be next week. But until then, you can always hop on my website, which is letmebreakitdownforyou.com. I have my Facebook page, Let Me Break It Down For You. And again, I want to thank you for letting me break it down for you. I hope you have an amazing Wellness Wednesday and wellness every day. I hope you enjoyed your Holistic Happy Hour and that you can continue to be happy many hours throughout the day and the week and in your life. And I am here to support any of you who feel that they could use a little bit of support or accountability or a little bit more information. I did all the research and I'm so passionate about presenting this. So I thank you. If you want to join me next Wednesday, I'll be here at 3. This video is going to be saved so you can rewatch it if you missed any of it. Just to recap, we talked about thoughts having frequencies and being able to pattern our brain and how to break those patterns so that we can attract different things into our life. So thank you so much. I love you all. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.